Hi, this is Mrs. Denton coming to you with lesson 2-4 in Pre Algebra, solving two-step inequalities. So we're going to apply all the strategies that we used with solving one-step inequalities, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and we're going to solve two-step inequalities. Go ahead and label your paper, lesson 2-4, two-step inequalities. You can pause the video at any time. Our warm-up involves solving 6 one-step inequalities. There is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Remember the rule from the last lesson, lesson 2-3, where if we multiply or divide by a negative, we reverse the direction of the inequality symbol. So keep that reminder. You can pause the video so that you can have time to finish, and then you can check your work. Okay, let's look at number 1. X plus 9 is less than 12. We're going to start on the side where our variable is located, in this case the left side. They are adding 9. We're going to subtract 9 from both sides. That allows us to cancel out, get rid of, make a zero pair, bring down our x, bring down our less than sign, and 12 subtract 9 is 3. Okay, let's look at number 2. X subtract 3 is greater than or equal to 1. We're going to add 3 to both sides. X is greater than or equal to 4. Number 3, x subtract 2 is greater than negative 5. We're going to add 2 to both sides. Put that into your calculator if you need to. X is greater than negative 3. Number 4, negative 3 multiplied by x, or negative 3x, is greater than 5. There is multiplication going on between negative 3 and x, so we're going to divide. We're also dividing by a negative, so we may want to remind ourselves to reverse the inequality symbol. So we bring down our x, reverse that inequality symbol, and 5 divided by negative 3, we can leave that as negative 5/3. Okay, number 5, 4x is greater than negative 16. 4 and x are being multiplied. So let's divide both sides by 4. And we get x is, now this has a negative, but it's not the value that we're multiplying or dividing by. So therefore we do not reverse this inequality symbol. Negative 16 divided by positive 4 is negative 4. Okay, number 6, negative 5x is less than or equal to negative 21. Negative 5 and x are being multiplied, so we are going to divide both sides by negative 5. You might want to remind yourself to reverse that inequality sign. Bring down your x, reverse your inequality sign to greater than or equal to, and negative 21 divided by negative 5 simplifies to positive 21/5. And you can leave it as an improper fraction. 5 and 21 do not have any common factors, so it is truly in simplest form. Okay, let's look at example 1 here. Part A says solve 17 is less than or equal to 3y subtract 4, graph the solution. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to copy A. 17 is less than or equal to, 3y. Subtract 4. Now, think about this as my divider. This inequality symbol is my divider. I'm going to start on the right side where my variable is. Now, I'm not going to focus on the 3 that's being multiplied by y first. When we're solving we're going to reverse the order of operations. So rather than using our multiplication or division first, we're going to work with our addition or subtraction. So we're going to get rid of this negative 4 or reverse the subtraction of 4 by adding 4 to both sides. Okay, simplify this left side. We get 21 is less than or equal to 3y. Now I'm going to work with the multiplication that's going on between 3 and y. I'm going to undo the multiplication by using division on both sides. Now I'm going to bring down the y, bring down my inequality sign, and simplify 21 over 3 or divided by 3. Now I have 7 is less than or equal to y, which is the same thing as, remember when we talked about graphing and reversing that variable and value so that we know which direction for sure our line is graphed in. So if I reverse the y and the 7, then I also have to reverse the direction of the inequality symbol. So this is no longer less than or equal to, it becomes greater than or equal to. So 7 is less than or equal to y is the exact same inequality as y is greater than or equal to 7. The second one is just easier to graph because then we know our arrow needs to point to the right. So we're going to focus our graph on 7. We're on the positive side of the number line, so 1 to the left is 6, 1 to the right is 8. We have a greater than or equal to sign, so we're going to have a solid or closed circle indicating that 7 is part of the solution set, and we want greater than, so we are going to the right on our number line. Okay, let's look at example B now. So example B has x divided by -2, subtract 8 is greater than or equal to -6. I'm going to start on the side with my variable, in this case the left side. I'm going to focus on the addition or subtraction first. So they're subtracting 8, I'm going to add 8, or I'm going to pair it up with its opposite, however you want to look at that. Whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other side. I'm going to bring down my x divided by -2. I'm going to bring down my inequality sign, greater than or equal to, and I'm going to simplify -6 plus 8 and get 2. Now they are dividing they are dividing x by -2. So I'm going to multiply both sides by -2. Now, when I multiply both sides by -2, I need to remember and reverse my inequality sign. So you can always circle that as a reminder to help you remember to reverse that. I'm going to bring down my x, reverse my inequality sign, and 2 multiplied by -2 gives me -4. So x is less than or equal to -4. We're going to come over here and create a number line, midpoint of -4, 1 to the right, 1 to the left on the negative side of the number line. look at our inequality sign. It does include the value -4, so we're going to put a solid circle there. And we want x to be less than or equal to -4. So we are going to go to the left side with our arrow. Like I said earlier, you can pause the video at any time. Okay, example 2. Which graph represents the solution of -7 parentheses x plus 3 is less than or equal to 28? Okay, we're going to take that inequality statement, and as you can see, there's parentheses, so there's some work that needs to be done before we can actually choose the graph that represents the solution. So we need to solve this and determine what our solution is to know which graph would mark that. Okay, so we have parentheses. That tells us that we need to distribute the value outside of the parentheses by each of the terms inside of the parentheses. So I'm going to take -7 and multiply it by x. I get a new term, -7x. I'm going to multiply -7 times 3. I get a new term, -21. I bring down my inequality symbol and I bring down my 28. Now we're going to begin the process of solving this two-step inequality. We're going to start on the left side where our variable is, and we're going to get rid of this -21. Remember, negative and subtract are the same thing. So I'm going to pair it up with its opposite, and that is +21 or +21. So I come over to the other side and I do the same thing to that term. So now I'm bringing down a -7x is less than or equal to, and over here we simplify and we get 49. Now I look at the side again where my variable is. -7 and x are being multiplied, so I'm going to divide to undo that. When I divide by a negative, remember we need to reverse that inequality symbol. So now I'm left with x is greater than or equal to -7. Put a box around that so you can tell where my solution is. So this tells us several things. It tells us that we are going to have a closed or solid circle at -7, and we want it to be greater than. So our arrow should be pointing to the right. Let's look at our four choices. We can eliminate A and C. Those are both pointing in the wrong direction. And let's focus on B and D and determine what the difference is. Okay, it looks like B is indicating -7 and D is indicating +7. So look back at our solution. We want to show that x is greater than or equal to -7. So that tells us that, which of these is correct? B. So which graph represents the solution? Graph B. Okay, example 3. Example 3 says solve 12 is greater than -2 parentheses y subtract 4, graph the solution. Okay, we have 12 is greater than -2 parentheses y subtract 4. Looks like we have some work to do here. We need to distribute to get rid of the parentheses or grouping symbols. 12 comes straight down. Our inequality sign, -2 times y, is just simply -2y. And -2 times -4 is going to give us a +8. Now we begin our process of solving the two-step inequality. Remember, start with your addition or subtraction. In this case, they're adding 8, so we are going to subtract 8 from both sides. Now we have 4 is greater than negative 2y. Okay, I'm going to start on the side where my variable is. In this case, the right side. Negative 2 and y are being multiplied. So I'm going to undo that using division by negative 2. Remember, when I divide by a negative, I need to reverse that inequality symbol. So if you want to circle that as a reminder, that's always a good strategy to use. Bring down your y. We're going to reverse the inequality symbol. So we're going to have a less than symbol now. And simplify 4 divided by negative 2. Put that in your calculator if you need to, negative 2. Now, before we go to graph this, remember how when you graph, if your variable's on the left side, then you know your line needs to point in the same direction as your inequality sign. So let's go ahead and flip this. So if I reverse my negative 2 and my y, reverse the order of it, and I also need to reverse my inequality sign. It just makes it so much easier to graph. So now I'm going to flip my y and my negative 2, and my direction sign, or my symbol, inequality symbol, is now going to go from less than back to greater than. So this example involved us flipping the direction of the inequality symbol twice, actually. Once up here. And then in order to graph it in this direction, we flipped it back. So for our graph, we're going to focus our midpoint on negative 2. And we are going to go 1 to the right and 1 to the left. And again, we're on the negative side, so we're going to have a negative 3 and a negative 1. Look at your inequality sign. This is going to be what type of circle? Open. And now that we've flipped it, we know that our arrow needs to point to the right. So we want y to be greater than negative 2. We can also go above the number line if you prefer.